Good morning, everyone. My name's David Calvert, and welcome to the webinar. I'm going to be speaking to you on behalf of the SIP and Cogent about the Modular Masters in Formulation Science and Technology. Just a brief word to everyone. We will be recording this webinar because there are a number of people who are unable to either make today or Monday, so we'll be recording that, and that will be available both for yourselves and for some of your colleagues who might not be able to attend today. You are all on mute at the moment, so what we're going to do is we'll go through the slides that we've got today. You'll be able to ask questions at the end or via the chat function, and of course there will be contact details afterwards where you can ask questions offline if you wish. I think that's about all. I think we should probably really start off. So hopefully many of you have already heard about the Science Industry Partnership, but today what we're going to go through is, bear with me while I make sure this goes on. Okay, so we're going to go through the background to the Science Industry Partnership and the Modular Masters in Formulation Science and Technology. It is in two phases, so we're going to talk about phase one and then phase two, which is what we're really talking about today, which is about the tender for the full Modular Masters. We're going to give you an outline of what that tender is going to look like, probably very importantly the timeline for applications, where to go for help, and as I mentioned before, time for questions. And if I can't answer the questions, we've got Jim Bullock from iFormulate on the line as well, and Tina Roberts from Cogent, who will be able to answer some of the questions if I'm unable to help you. So the Science Industry Partnership, or SIP as it's known, had a vision of trying to make employers take ownership of the skills needed to grow in the science industries. And you can read about the strategic objectives. And it was really to try and make UK PLC have the workforce to be able to deliver value to the companies working in the UK and to the UK in general. It is a significant programme. It's been approved by the government of a co-investment of up to £32.6 million. The government's in strategic partnership with those employers, and there is a SIP board which is chaired by GlaxoSmithKline, and that board's been tasked with developing the skills strategy and to co-invest in the skills and education projects with employers, in England only of course, with this funding. But it was publicly launched on the 8th of July. In terms of the SIP programme, there's a large proportion around science, technology, engineering and math careers and traineeships and smart apprenticeships, and then workforce development using gold standards, using the small business framework for growth, and then moving on into higher education, where there is a programme about industry graduates, about this formulation science technology modular masters, and there are a number of there is an advanced training partnership being proposed for industrial biotechnology. If you want to know more details about the Science Industry Partnership, Jenny Klukas' contact details are on this slide, and these slides will be available after the presentation. But also you can go to the website, which is the www.scienceindustrypartnership.com. So, moving on to the main subject for today, which is the Masters in Formulation Science and Technology. So this has come from some extensive industrial consultation which took place, and these overarching principles are really what has come from industry. They haven't come from anybody else. They've come from industry and formulation people, and they've said what they really would need is a modular framework, which is to try and build a program that's suitable for the industry, suitable for the companies and for the individuals to try to develop those. What they wanted was, they didn't want necessarily a single provider, they wanted the best of the best. They wanted an opportunity for a program that could involve multiple providers and to get those providers to work together to deliver a program of excellence. Flexibility is probably a word that would go through the whole of this program. So they want the individual modules also to be done to be possible to do CPD, because not everybody may well want to do a certified qualification. But if they do, they wanted also to see a progression and the possibility to progress from a postgraduate certificate to a postgraduate diploma and then on to a full master's. They were, because not every company is the same and not every individual is the same. They wanted to see that there was a variety of delivery and assessment methods. So those are incorporated and will be expected in the 4 masters, that there will be some in-person delivery, there will be some online delivery, there will be some distance learning delivery, and that will depend upon what's available and whether the program actually fits that. But also some laboratory assessments, some practical work, and that the assessment should not just be an exam, and in some cases may not even be an exam. It may be coursework, it may be on the spot, it may be a dissertation if it's the project. And industry also said that they wanted to focus on the advanced skills that were applicable in the workplace. And that would also then bring in this project element for the full masters, which when you see the overall scheme will account for, in a full masters, for 1/3 of the full qualification, i.e. 60 credits. And they have expressed a desire to stay involved and have an industrial governance on the program. So as the program moves on, there is already the first meeting of the industrial board is set for the 21st of October, and they will have an ongoing involvement in making sure that the program develops and fits industrial needs. So as I said at the beginning, this one is, we're talking about stage 2 today, but we need to give you an update on where stage 1 is, which was the focus of a short industrial consultation to say what could we deliver in the short term that would also meet some immediate requirements. So the 4 modules that were chosen and are almost there, subject to some agreements being signed, are colloids and rheology, which will be a core module and is an in-person module at the University of Birmingham. Also a characterization module, again in person at the University of Birmingham, which is scheduled for March. There's a design principles module, which is online at De Montfort University. And then a pre-formulation studies in biopharmaceuticals, which is a distance learning module from the University of Manchester. The agreement is that the credits that are gained from those modules must be accepted by the successful applicants for the full master's bid, but only up until the end of 2015. Those providers in stage 1 have got no preferential treatment in the full master's application, and indeed they're not obliged to apply and may not decide to apply, or may decide to apply as part of a consortium. So that is stage 1. If we look at an overview of the program in terms of what came out of the industrial consultation, there will be core modules, which at present we believe will account for around about 60 credits, and at present could be 6 modules. Again, this is the belief at the moment, and when you see the modules that are there is no obligation to actually take them as read. But if you are submitting for the full tender, we would expect you to say why you may combine them or why you may not believe that those are applicable. But those 60 credits, which may well, again, the winning institute or the winning consortium may say that that is the postgraduate certificate, 60 credits is the core modules. There are then a large number of modules that will be added to, that will be optional, which would take up to a further 60 credits, which again then may lead to a postgraduate diploma. And then there's the project element, which needs to be industry relevant, and we envisage most likely taking place at the industrial, the company of the student taking place, but may well involve some work also at an institute, and that would account for a further 60 credits, taking us up to the full 180 that's actually required for the masters. So looking at, from the consultation, the type of modules that we believed would be a part of the core and applicable across all the industries. And again, as we've said, there is some flexibility. If institutes in the tender wish to combine these modules, they may well do. If they want to say we want everything to be 10 or 15 credits, then that again is possible, so long as they actually state what they're doing. But in terms of the core modules, design principles, colloid chemistry and rheology, characterization. Practical in terms of how do you make liquid and semi-solid formulations, and how do you do solid formulations, how do you deliver formulations, and how do you actually process those formulations. And when the full tender document comes out, and we'll come to the timeline, there will be some short descriptions of the type of content we would imagine to be available in each of those. So those would be the core modules. In terms of optional modules, these are the ones at present that we could see. You'll see on the right hand side a number of specific industrial ones. So somebody working in the coatings industry or in the inks industry may wish to take, would probably want to take the advanced coating or the advanced ink formulation ones. And then the credits for automation, for drying of formulation, for powders, granulation. Again, you'll be able to read through these when you get the full slides, but the whole idea was that there are some core modules, and then each student and the company may well say, well, for this to actually work for us, we can pick a number of modules from there. And again, this is not a comprehensive list, and we would be expecting this to be added to as the scheme progresses. And also in the tender bids, if people wish to say, we think this is suitable for the modular masters, then they could well propose that to go forward. So the timetable for those who are interested in doing this. This is the first of 2 webinars. If you were thinking of attending the webinar on Monday, it is going to be exactly the same as the one today, except it will probably be presented by Jim Bullock. We'd like expressions of interest. If you're interested in either putting in by yourself, putting in as a consortia, or being part of a consortia, then expressions of interest should be in by noon on the 24th of October. To Tina Roberts. We will then issue the formal request at the end of this month on Friday the 31st of October. And this has come up as the wrong submission date. That submission date will be changed to the 24th of December, so you have longer to put it in. I can send some smiles. Yes, that is Christmas Eve, and it will be 12 noon. We will then have interviews provisionally on the 13th of January and a decision on the 16th of January. Apologies, that slide seems to be wrong in dates, but there is extra time for you to put them in, and when you receive these slides, they will actually be correct in terms of the timetables. So what would we expect to see in the tender? Well, we would expect to see the tender reflecting the modular structure that's needed, and to demonstrate the flexibility in terms of how these modules are going to be delivered, what practical elements will be in there, what type of assessment will be used, and will it be a multi-provider consortia. It's not compulsory. If there is a lead HEI that believes they can take it forward, then there is an opportunity for them to take it forward. The program can deviate from the envisaged, as long as there's justification. You can combine modules, you can add new modules, and we would encourage that, and it can identify gaps where the consortia may have most of the material, but may wish to also say we need to develop new material, and there is some scope to develop that new material. We envisage this being part-time study, so it's not a full-time course. In the specification and in responses, we would expect it to be stated how long the credits would be available for. We would expect a minimum of 3, maximum of 5, but again, open to suggestions from the consortia or the lead HEI. The lead applicant must be a HEI, must be able to award a certificate. But the consortia members may also be HEIs, but maybe also private sector providers or other educational providers. We're looking for how are you going to cross-accredit various credits from different institutes, and the professional bodies. It's been requested that they should be involved in some format. How that is to be achieved is down to the consortia to look, but we'd expect the APS to be heavily involved and the RSC as well. In terms of the admin, the Cogent and the Science Industry Partnership will be providing some administration. There will be a small charge for that. They will take care of centralized booking and payments. There will be, they will help with the marketing, and you may have already seen some of the marketing materials and the promotion that's starting to come out. And they will also look to engage through their team with a range of different employers and employees. We'll look for this program to be sustainable. It's not one hit. We expect it to continue for quite a while. And the student fees are going to be variable, depending obviously upon the type of delivery module, whether it's in person, online or distance learning. There's an industry expectation to be around £11,000 for the full masters. There will be, it says maybe, but there will be co-funding for SMEs of about £500 if an SME wishes to take that, and we're trying to make the process as simple as possible for SMEs to get that funding. There is a development budget available from the SIP, which is what the tender is about, to recognise, accredit, transfer content to e-platforms, not to generate a new e-platform, but just to transfer the content and to develop new content. And the guideline figure, which again should be on this slides, but we've got around about £200,000, including VAT, available for this, up to that amount in any case. How will those tenders be evaluated? The usual structure, there will be a value for money element, which is how you're going to use the Science Industry Partnership money. There will be a value for money in terms of how the fee structure is proposed. We will look obviously to evaluate the capability and track record of the lead HEI and consortia in terms of what they've done of relevant programs in the past and what their record is of industrial engagement. And then a large element of the evaluation will be on the quality of the proposed program, what the content is, what flexibility it offers, how simple the accreditation is, what innovative ideas there are in there, the sustainability, and how quickly the program can be introduced. In the tender documentation, there will be a range of supporting documentation, so we will include a summary of industrial consultations, and there will be more detailed, as promised, on the envisaged content and the structure. You can see, as we mentioned earlier, much more about the Science Industry Partnership on their website, and you will be able to submit email inquiries via the info where you're registered for this webinar, or to Tina Roberts at Cogent. Just worth mentioning that during the evaluation process we will be inviting industry to actually take part in that, so they will sit and have a large say in the winning bid. That's really where the slides end. We've only taken 20 minutes, so we've left a significant amount of time for you. I'm going to now open it up really to questions, so I can unmute people, or you can submit questions via the chat function. Let me just see. So just bear with me, this doesn't. Does anybody wish to ask a question via the chat function while I'm just trying to unmute everybody? Can't quite get it to work at the moment. Are there any questions? Hang on, I have a question here. I have a number of questions. Is there anything in particular required for the expression of interest, standard forms, etc. from Barbara? No, Barbara. In terms of the expression of interest, all we need to see is a simple email to Tina Roberts at Cogent. We're trying to make this as simple as possible, so even if you in the end don't think you might submit, if you just want to see the full tender document, then simply email tina.roberts@cogent-ssc.com and she'll make sure that you receive the full tender documentation. From Moshgan, hi, I wonder how you envisage the role of SME industry here. Is it going to be on internship with SME? Not quite sure. In terms of SME industry, they will have some assistance if the people from SMEs wish to take the Modular Master. If the question is in terms of SME as deliverers, then they're welcome to be a part of the consortia. So I'm not quite sure if that's answered your full question. Some companies have their own school on formulation. Can you link with them? Yes, you can, and in fact, when you see some of the optional ones, there is the option to accredit internal modules, and we'd expect the lead HEI to be willing to undertake that. Or is it going via an SME, a fund to help in the module? SMEs will get financial help to go on certain modules. Seems the full MSc is expecting to admitting students this time next year, 2015. In fact, if they're going to take the colloids and rheology module in November at Birmingham, then they actually will be able to use those credits to start on the full modules, so on the full masters. So in many ways they're already starting as of November, but yes, we'd expect the full program to be up and running for September, but again it could be staged, so there could be a certain number of modules pushed forward initially and then others developed. What accreditation for materials are you looking for, RSC? That would be, that's from Keith. Keith, if you have, I know you have some material in the consortium, the HEI will have their own process for accrediting that, and I would expect with some of the materials then you would find that probably not too much of a problem, but there will be some quality systems with the HEI to go through. I mean academic year? Yes, academic year, yes, probably yes, next September is what I mean, yes. Would the leader coordinator come from industry or academia? If you mean the lead for, the actual qualification, that will have to be a higher education institute. The administrator will be from Cogent and from the SIP, so they will be taking care of that. Just trying to see. No reason why, yes, there is no reason why, although it's the academic year of 2015, there is no reason why the consortia can't actually start to do modules earlier than the date that I said before. Will there still be a process for recognizing short course modules in from providers outside an MSc consortia? Yes, there should be, and either as a part of the tender, we would expect the lead to say how they would do that, and once the lead HEI has been made public, then for people who have short courses, then they would be able to take it forward and go to that lead HEI and say, would you like this to be a part of it, and what would be the process for getting that accredited to be a part of the MSc. So hopefully that answers that question. How many students would we anticipate per academic year? Is a very good question, and we obviously need to get this program out there and get it recognized. But if we were looking for numbers, it's not going to be over 100. It's going to be probably somewhere taking the full masters up to around about 50 we would expect each year. But there will be the add-ons because some people won't take the full qualification, and therefore we'll have a number of modules. And the science industry partner does actually have some targets to meet, and those targets will be included in the full tender documentation. Would we anticipate overseas students in this course? It's an open course, so it will be open to any student to apply. In terms of targets for the Science Industry Partnership, they can only count those in England. But yes, it will be open, and we'd encourage the leading HEI to be accepting students from overseas, subject obviously to meeting some minimum criteria. If there are any people listening who are providers of material that maybe isn't from a HEI, if they're interested in putting that out to be shared for consortia building, then we'd also be willing to take that and send it through. Are we looking for a practical element to be included, lab days, etc.? In certain cases, yes, there will be some that can be done just via distance learning, but in the bids we would expect to see some practical element, either that is done in the lab or perhaps that the student might be able to do back at their own company. But yes, it has been requested that there will be some practical elements, and in some cases it may not be wished to assess, but there may even be a summer school, so that could also be done. Okay. Right. Are major formulation companies already a part of this? Yes. We've consulted with some of the major formulation companies in the UK, and they've expressed significant interest in this. Okay, I think we may have had some technical issues. Apologies if that's helped, if that's caused people some problems, but we will have a recording, or we will be able to make the slides available and also be able to talk to people later if they wish to hear that. Okay, I think at that stage we'll probably draw it to a close today. If you do wish any more details, our contact details are there, and we will send stuff out to you after this, but please feel free to come back and ask any questions that you wish to hear. So at that stage, thanks very much for your attention, and I wish you a nice weekend. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.